So, Orpheus, is this transmission of the way of truth. And of course, Master Da calls his great theater pieces the Orpheum trilogy. Now, I wanted to also say something about how this relates to the word, the Aletheon, Master Da's fulfillment. Text. To do that, I'm going to back up a little bit and talk about this transition from rhapsodic theology into prosaic philosophy. Thales, in the very end of the 6th century, beginning of the 5th century, he was said to, by all, to be the first person to speak prosaically, or as Aristotle said, scientifically. I didn't use that word, but the first person to speak scientifically about the nature of things. And people spoke prosaically in ordinary ways, but when they started speaking about great matters, they would be poetic or rhapsodic, poetic, Homeric, rhapsodic, Orphic. And so, so Thales was the first person to talk about the way things are. He didn't say at the beginning of everything there was a golden egg. No. No. Arche, meaning at the beginning of everything, he said, must be water. Look at everything that grows. Without water, it's nothing. So he said water, some kind of water. It's not water in the sense that we mean like, oh, there's water. It's better described as hydrozoism, that there's some kind of liquid, living liquid at the root of everything. It must be. Look at everything that grows. Mm-hmm. And his younger friend, not student, Anaximander said, no, I don't think so. I think that the origin of everything is that which is indeterminate, without bounds, infinite. And so that began a series of, then his younger student, Anaximenes, said, oh no, I think it's too indefinite. Can't be. If it's indefinite, how could it be made anything? It's got to be made something like air, ether at the origin of everything. And so arche, what's at the beginning of everything, was a big discussion. Let's talk about scientifically, as we would say, what's at the origin of everything? Well, that went on for about 100 years until Parmenides came along and said, who cares? What is the truth? Who cares what's at the origin? What is the truth? Now, that was a big moment. That was a big step. Step aside from what's at the origin of what is the truth. Let's talk about that. Now, the truth is a word, aletheia. Now, this is rooted back in an Orphic story of when Orpheus went into the underworld to get Eurydice, and he came back. He saw how the underworld works, it was said. And it was said that in the underworld, when you die, the only thing left, because thought and body are ripped off, the only thing left, the only quality that still remains is the quality of thirst. It is the thirst of every unfulfillment in your life. You wanted to have this work out, and you wanted, it would only been better for this. That thirst, stripped of the body and stripped of the mind, is the only thing left. Just driving thirst. You're immediately in the underworld with this thirst. You come across a lake, pond, whatever, water, and it was called the Pool of Lethe. Now, Lethe is translated in our word lethargic, best also in our word lethal, by the way, but lethargic. It's usually translated as forgetfulness or coveredness. So you see the water, and they say those souls whose habit during life had been just to go for, she was good, I'm going to follow her. Hey, yeah, I'll have another piece of pie. That you did not have any restraint. You had not been initiated into what is greater than the body and mind. Then you would just go for the first thirst. I'm thirsty, there's water. Hey, all right. But those souls who did that drank the water and their thirst was satisfied, but then they forgot who they are. and then they rise and wander the gray plains of asphodel forever. Asphalt. But those who had been initiated into the Orphic mysteries know to pull back, not go for everything. Show a little restraint, will you? Those who had been initiated into the possibility or the practice of truth, when they saw that first pool, they knew, don't go for the first thing. Instead, look up from that pool, and there you'll see another pool. I used to say mnemosine, what we call memory, remembrance. And they say to find that, you look up and there will be a white tree. And at the base of that white tree, you'll find this pool of remembrance. You drink there. It also satisfies your thirst. You rise knowing who you are, remembering everything, and you enter Elysium, Elysian fields, heaven, paradise. Unending celebration was its characteristic. So the key here was to look up from lethe. Lethe, not lazy. Aletheon. You look up from your laziness. Truth literally means not lazy. Literally means not lazy. And not lethal, of course. But truth means look up from the pond. The self-fascinated pond of your own satisfaction. Look up from that laziness. That's aletheia. That's conscious life. That's what truth is. I mean, just like, wow, who knew? Mm-hmm. And so, now, that's the Orphic side of that, which people knew. Now, Parmenides, when he came along and said, what is the truth? Of course, they understood this, look up from your own laziness. But he used it also in another sense, as who cares about the origin of everything? What is it to, if you'll figure just that out, and he said, if you find out what it is, you will find there is only one being, only. That is the truth. So that, and he said, there's a long poem that he wrote about all this, in which you see Theia, the goddess Theia, to see, when light comes out of your eyes and you see, participate, that's seeing. So you have to enter a process of seeing to experience the goddess sacrifice. So this seeing and practicing, this is what is required to see the truth. So out of these two streams, confluent streams, one of, it's not the origin in the sense of not the origin in the sense of, at the origin of all things, of course this came in later, centuries later, with his arche logos. In the beginning was the Word, which you've all heard in the Christian scripture. So that stream continued, but Parmenides said, no, what is the truth? And if you enter into an investigation of not being lazy, entering into discerning what is real, what is the truth, that you will eventually come to the path of justified confidence, where you will find the truth without genesis only. And he proposed there is not even any movement. There is only one being. Nothing is happening. Nothing ever will happen. Nothing ever has happened. There is only a single event, and we are not rightly related to it. So Parmenides, and he toured, and people were awestruck at his statement, declaration, and demonstration. Out of these comes the Aletheon. Out of these two streams, both the philosophical and the Orphic, those two streams are confluent in the word, the Aletheon, which is the place of truth. So these are all to be noted by devotees of Adida who study the Aletheon. This is important to know. the history, the lineage of these two streams in the Aletheon. Anything else?
Well, anything else? Well, let's sit down and have an 8-week course.
Yes, that's an 8-week course crammed into 18 minutes. I agree, but
I want to go back to Eleutherios and theater.
Yes. Well, theater is in that same group of words. Seeing, Thea, goddess, Thea, theater, you see it, and it's this kind of seeing is not like, oh, there's a tree over there. It's participation. It's participatory. So etymologically, you are participating. That's what's required for theater. And so people would watch the theater, and they would be instructed in what is it to mature.
But they would be participating in...
Yes, because it was a whole puja and ritual and all, so that all went on, of course, with the theater. And then for originally it was just that story. And then Aeschylus came along at the end of the 6th century and introduced a choral, one other voice, and from there, next person came up to 2 voices, and then from there it evolved to what we call theater. Theater anciently was represented as, there was a goat, a satyr, which represented dendrite, and then there was a god. Theater is the transition from being a goat to being divine. That's what it is.
So from pleasure to ecstasy.
From pleasure to ecstasy. It is the process of maturation, particularly focused on the moments, or the transition from being a goat, being just a pleasurist, into being a sacrifice to the divine process and condition. That's what theater is supposed to serve. That's what theater is. Every true theater is about a transformation. That's what it is. That's why it's projected for you, so that you can learn the lessons, so that you can grow and be transformed. It was one of the healing arts as well. So, Eleutherios is and like I said, the Eleutherios was the name of the theater temple. And they acted out Zagreus, Dendrite, Dionysus, Eleutherios. That's what theater is. It is the process of going from feeling torn apart to growing in enjoyment, to becoming ecstatic, to becoming liberated. That is theater. That is theater. That's the great theater. It is something you see. It is something you participate in. It is all those etymological roots were known to them. These were not, to us they become different. Seeing and God and goddess. Let me give you another etymological insight. The word theos, which is the male form of thea, is, my favorite definition was that of Aristotle, and he described theos as the same thing that you see when you notice a flower blooming, a sunset, or the recognition between friends. So think of what is the same in flower, in sunset, or when friends recognize each other. That is theos, divine.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So that's there in that word theater. That is there in that word thea. That is, that's what it is.